Happy today. I am William Brown from IamWilliamBrown.com. This is Disconnect to Connect, one word conversations. I'm smiling for a number of reasons, but one is that today is episode 100. There is a big part of me that believes or feels like this just started. It just started. I can remember some of the early conversations that I had, but just the commitment to being here and having this conversation with you on the daily has caused me to show up 100 times, and I am honored and overwhelmed about this. So I want to mention our sponsor, which is IamWilliamBrown.com, a place where you can be yourself and live your life. You can have a conversation with me through an introductory coaching conversation, or you can get items like U cards or U journal and Beyond the Shell book series. So as I do, I use the U cards to set the intention for this conversation. And my I am card is I am brave, which is great. My UR card is you are seen. That's good to know. And my clue card for this conversation is before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, from Jeremiah 1:5. So it's really fitting for me because I think showing up within this conversation, this has definitely been a spiritual journey, and I've learned more about myself and more about the you that was formed before. So as I do, I'll introduce the word of today. The word of today is new. And so with that in mind, I am going to bring not just my 100th guest on the show. He is actually the 99th guest because Manuel was the first guest. So I bring my friend up and we'll have a conversation. Good morning, sir. Or good
hello,
afternoon, good evening for you, right?
Yeah, hello, my friend. Good to see you.
Oh, great to see you too.
And cheers to the 100.
Well, cheers, absolutely. And this is a time where I ask this is going to be an interesting show, but what I will do is, ask you to introduce yourself however it feels comfortable to you.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Manuel Shipwood. I'm whatever label you want to use, coach, consultant, teacher, healer, author for, supporting people on gaining their consciousness and bringing their consciousness and compassion into their life and business in a variety of ways.
Right. So now I get that. We talked before about our meeting and everything else, and I've shared the conversation before the first episode, right? It was like, hey, Manuel, this is what I'm thinking about doing. It's like, okay, I'll be your first guest. Let's start tomorrow. It's like, what?
Right.
And so as I
well, why not?
Yeah, right. Yeah, why not? And it's like, as I felt, there's a couple other people in my life where I say, you can take the credit and the blame for for all of this, right? But yeah, it really caused me, just from having our conversation, caused me to really look at, is this going to be something that I just say I'm going to do, or is this something that I'm going to do? And that gentle encouragement that you gave me to just say, hey, why can't we just start this tomorrow and just kind of go, right? It caused me to just show up and just to kind of be in it.
Beautiful. And it's with everything new. I say we're talking today about new, whatever that means. And I think there's a lot of courage and bravery needed to do something new. All the time when we think of something, or we have a vision, or we have some feeling on some hunch of this might be fun, this might be interesting, this might be a very good idea business wise, it takes courage to make the first step, right? And really going through it.
Yeah, for me, the newness of it, that of doing this show, is like, I just found this, this platform. I really, I had so many reasons why I wasn't going to be on, Facebook Live and all that kind of stuff. I needed a haircut and all that kind of stuff. All the excuses, all that stuff that I was making excuses for. And I think it's what you were saying. It is, I was more concerned or focusing on not the newness of it, right? Not the possibility, but how it could go wrong, right? The light will go off, and I'll be stumbling and stammering, and all the things. So it was like, yeah, this is something great to do, but this is going to be terrible, and all that, all that kind of stuff. And what if, and it's like, and I've used those what if times to really stifle me, or to keep me from doing anything new, than really embracing the new. And I just really, I don't know if this the pandemic, or as there's sometimes in my life where I have, I'm just tired of the excuses, and I'm just going to do something, and we'll just kind of see what happens. I don't know if it was that type of thing, or maybe a little bit of all of those things, that caused me to to just show up and say, yes, I'm doing something new.
Yeah. It's interesting that you mentioned the pandemic, because nobody has today. Just kidding. No, I mean, that was evil sarcasm. I think it's a very good time to discuss on a word like new, because something new comes up every day, and when we talk about new things, new experiences, new happenings, whatever. There's that uncertainty. When you ask people, do you like to do something new? You will receive, and there are psychological studies about that, you will receive a very different answer from people. From, yeah, absolutely, I need it every day, because I will be bored if not, up to, I like things to be as normal as they could be, and I'm a traditionalist, and let's hold on to things like they were before. And I think one reason, apart from the personality trait of traditionalism versus embracing every change, I think one reason is that we are afraid of uncertainty. And I think there lies a big chance in a big opportunity inside of uncertainty, inside of embracing uncertainty, because to me this means freedom as well. So as soon as we let go of the idea of I need to be safe all the time, and open up to uncertainty, everything then can happen. And I know a person who just recently created a campaign or something similar, where he said, it's all possible now. It's anything can happen now. I even could run for president, right? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of, and I appreciate you kind of sharing, and that evolution of really looking at the Everything is Possible campaign and project, is that it started with me saying that, hey, I'm going to run for president of the United States, and what that means, and and just embracing that, and and the main reason why I did that, or I said that, was that everything was, it felt like everything was political. Our friendships, our family. There was like, what, how do you occur to me as political, right? And so in order for me to change that conversation or dynamic, or to really have people show up for themselves and each other, I was like, you know what, I have to go right at the head of this. And if it means I need to be the leader of the free world to kind of have this conversation, I'm okay with having that conversation. And I realized that how it shifted to the Everything is Possible campaign, our project, was that it's beyond the presidency. It's beyond that. The more that we look at taking ownership for our lives and making things possible for ourselves, in spite of how we're being governed, right? Then we can have the relationships that we need to have in our life. Then we can solve the problems, in our neighborhoods or in our community. But if we're waiting for the government, or people that we elect to take care of the matter, then we don't take care of the matter. And so the Everything is Possible project and campaign is really about saying, we can take ownership in it. And I think, and that's where the new for me is. Am I going to like make some missteps, or am I going to say some things that people don't fully understand? And it's like, yes, but embracing the new of that, embracing the potential of that, the possibility of that, gives me access to so much more, that things will change, things will get better, because of the embracing it. If I accept everything the way it is, right, the status quo, I'm going to get the status quo. And I think, just connecting it back to the show again, is that I could have had that conversation with you and said, maybe not tomorrow, I'll do it next week. Then next week comes, and then there's another reason, and then I'll find a way not to connect with you, and then a year goes by, and it's like, hey, what about that show that you were talking about doing it? Right, 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 and it's, and I said, that's not my life anymore. There's a newness in my life. There is something that is calling me to show up in my life. And I think I've shared on the show or in a conversation with you, one part of my meditation practice is to look out my window or be on my balcony, and look at the trees, and look at a place every day, the same place, right? And kind of notice where it's different, where it's new. Because too often I would just look out the window and go, yeah, it's everything the same day, same shit, right? And it's like, different name. But the more that I recognize that even the small changes, the small newnesses that come up in our life that I appreciate or acknowledge, will cause me to show up differently.
Beautiful. And you do show up differently, and I really can congratulate and to you about that, and really embrace that leadership personality that is currently emerging. Because what you're currently doing is, I mean, you started out with thinking, okay, let's candidate for presidency, but this is real leadership what you're currently doing, because you are. You're a role model. You're showing all the people that are connected to the campaign and to the idea that you're taking responsibility, you're taking ownership, and that's how. I mean, it's the same with what I do in companies when we talk about conscious business. It starts with everyone else. It starts with every individual in the company, or in this case in the country or on the planet.
Right.
But what they need is the encouragement and empowerment from the outside sometimes, if they don't have it in themselves already and found it already. And that is, in my perspective, in my opinion, some of the most important jobs of a good leader, to empower and encourage people to step into their own potential and develop their own potential, and show themselves and taking ownership because they trust in someone else who's trusting them, who's believing in them.
Right. And that brings me back to, episode 1, where our word was connection, right?
Right.
And there is this awareness or understanding how interconnected we are, even if there's, even if we don't think so, right? Even if we think that there's a disconnection, even if we think that there is no connection, and it's beyond, I think, our humanity. Because sometimes I think, I'll do it for myself. Sometimes it's like, well, I'll just give people grace because we're all human, just trying to figure these things out. Yes, that also is true, but there's a lot of other ways that I am connected to people, and to I guess to people around me. I don't know why I can't find the words to that, but the more that I understand my connections, right, or appreciate my connections and have gratitude for my connection, then I can be responsible for my connections, and I can take ownership for my connections. And it's like, and that's how I can be okay with. And I got this from an episode, that I had, of that a lot of the conversations that I want to have through here and through beyond the labels is just inviting people to grow, right? To allow me to grow and to allow you to grow. But too often that we try to keep people the same. It's like, well, I saw you a week ago, and I'm, and hey, something's different. Go back to what you were, so I can relate to you, right? You know what I mean? It's just like, instead of allowing my understanding of you to grow, and you growing into yourself, and becoming new, and just embracing that and recognizing that, instead of because I would say, early in some shows, I would say I have this, what did I call it? I don't even use the language anymore. It's kind of funny. It is this this unhealthy relationship with consistency, right? And so, feeling that even if it's no longer working for me, at least I have to be consistent. And it's like, no, right?
There's no obligation to be the same.
Who told you that? It's like I overlearned that. It's like.
And it's not true in the end as well. I mean, that's important to know, right? It's not true anyways, because you're changing all the time. Every particle of you is changing all the time. There is not one part of a second that you are the same as before ever again. So and that's just physical, and mentally, of course, 100 times, right? So we are changing all the time, and I think it's very, very important to embrace that in yourself and to let go and be part of that river of life, of that flow. But also, as you said, I really, very, very beautiful. I really love that, to embrace the newness of the person, the people around you, and especially in relationships, all kinds of relationships. We always try to be the same for 10 years. Don't. You aren't anyways. So
yeah. You know,
meet new every day.
Right. It is something that I could never really understand or appreciate. Let's just say I could understand it, but I didn't appreciate, when relationships would end, or, or marriages, and it's like, oh, we've grown apart. Really? No, we haven't grown apart. Someone grew, another person didn't, or, you chose not to grow together, right?
Yeah, and that's totally fine as well. But yeah.
Right, and that's fine. But it's like a default, right? Of just saying,
it's natural.
You've changed, right? right. You've changed.
Thankfully.
I haven't, instead of, and your changes. It's so funny with this show. There is, and maybe I should make this, a game or something to have people look at some past shows. But there was an episode, one episode that I changed the background. I created overlays and all that kind of stuff. And it was like one show only, right? And it's like, after it, I was like, I like it and I don't like it. And then I was like, oh crap, I just created that. I can't change it. And I was like, change it, right? And it's like the next day it was changed. Gone,
and,
right?
and it's totally fine that there's something unique, and so
right. And it was just like, wow. It was like, so it's like, so that's that's the chore. Go through all the 100 episodes and find the one episode where it looks, one of these things are not like the other, right?
But that's a beautiful example, actually. I mean, we behave like that in relationships, in our lives, and in our career plans, in politics. We say, okay, that's now how it is, and that's now how it should be in the next 4 years or whatever, right?
Right.
So and don't dare to work on it and to see it as a living thing that could evolve daily,
right? It's, and it's even, sometimes I say, the likability factor, sometimes the likability factor is a lot stronger than, I guess, the lovability factor. But it is, if I like you, I will allow, you to kind of show up in a lot of different ways, right? If I don't like you, it's like, dude, I could barely deal with you, the way you were. Don't keep changing on me, right? Type of thing, and just kind of cut you off. And it's not even for the better or worse or anything like that. It's just like, I think it's the putting people in a box, putting people on labels. I would say that. And I've said this, and it's kind of mean, but it's a while ago. But it's like, oh yeah, you're my crazy, you're my crazy friend, right? Like I've labeled you as my crazy friend, and I don't need any other crazy friends because you are that. You are that. So don't get saying, right? You know what I mean? Because you're my crazy friend. So.
Listeners, he's not talking about me, actually. Just want to clarify that. I'm the weird one, the awkward one. No.
But it's like sometimes we get that way and we don't allow people to grow or to grow, to be something else, to be beyond their labels and all that other kind of stuff. And we miss the newness, the wholeness, the completeness,
Yeah.
all of those things that we say that we want, out of our lives. But like I said, I don't know if it's a brain thing or not, but I mean, but it feels like
There is a
just kind of
neurological pattern, obviously, to save energy in our brain and try to use patterns we already have, and that evolves to put people into boxes with labels on it. But then again, we have the chance to meet new every part of a second, and that's what I call a conscious encounter, or authentic conscious encounter, or whatever you want to call it, to meet someone here and now. And we are all talking about the power of now and here and now, and be here now and being mindful. But if we really do that, we approach, and if we even combine that with compassion and being able to encounter everyone as a friend without knowing them, then we have a beautiful meeting with everybody, no matter what he's wearing, no matter what his religion, origin, ethnical, whatever, political view is. But we can meet someone beyond judgment and beyond what he has been yesterday and what we expect him to be tomorrow. So we're in the here and now, and it's all fine, right?
It's kind of interesting, because I was like, yeah, if I treat everybody that I meet as a friend, and I think I've heard it somewhere that it's like you treat everyone like your long lost friend. So, so there's more emotion involved and all that kind of stuff. So you're kind of like, yeah, it's like, I really, want this. But it kind of goes against my pattern of my rant against Facebook. It's like they have devalued friend, right? Because it's like, now I went from acquaintances to friends. Now I have like Facebook friends. It's like, okay, so where does that fit in? Is that like in between the acquaintance and the friend, or, it's like, it's like a whole nother category. And like sometimes my Facebook friends show up and say kind of crazy things online. And it's like, wow, all right, I'm friends with them, right? It's like, type of thing. But really, if I, instead of devaluing, but expanding the friend, as you said, then I could extend grace and allow my friends that I know and friends that I don't know to kind of just show up and go, okay, that's what my friend is doing today, right?
And I think it's very important to understand that the way I use it, it's not meant as a label, but it's meant as an attitude of friendliness, like friendliness and kindness. It's beyond labels, to put it in your words. It's beyond the label of being a friend. So now you have achieved the friend level because I clicked confirm, or I said, yeah, we can have a drink more than once a year, or whatever people do to achieve that level. But it's beyond the label. It's about being friendly just because, without any necessity of having a long, deeper connection. In the end, that's what we already have. I mean, it's always a lost friend from before, because we're all one, and it's just, seeing yourself.
Right. I wrote down something, and I don't know why this is coming up within this conversation, and maybe this is a new way of thinking, right? So that's where the newness is of coming. But we're connected to a lot of friends, right? A lot of friends who are coaches. That's what I meant. We are connected to a lot of coaches. I still had friends on mine, and so a lot of our work is in the place of transformation. Having transformational conversations, allowing people. And I wrote down something to consider for myself. But I'm bringing it up here. We can't, or we don't transform However, the way we think of ourselves transforms. And so if I am whole and complete, so follow me here. So this is like hot off the press, right? So hot off the press means I thought of this, I wrote this down, and now this is now in the public space. So it's like it could be all over the place. So so it is more if I embrace the whole and completeness of my life and of your life, that everything that you have, you don't need to transform into anything, right? However, how you think of yourself needs to transform so you can accept that reality of your whole and completeness. And so are our conversations as coaches not transforming people, but really transforming the way they see themselves or how they occur to themselves so they can be themselves?
Yes.
That's great. Now go make $1 million, right?
Yeah, actually, I mean, it's very interesting. I mean, I love our conversations all the time, no matter if we are live or not, because we understand each other in that, and I can say just yes, and it's okay.
Right, and you get it, I get it.
Right. So, but maybe to make it easier for the listeners as well, it's. Absolutely. I mean, maybe some of you have to listen to those sentences again and again to understand what he means, but he's absolutely right, in my opinion. And that's how I see a good coach, actually. That is where we don't try to transform him or her to someone else, to something that he or she needs to be.
Right.
But in the end, absolutely, it's becoming aware of, as you put it, the wholeness of that you already are, in a way, your oneness, your consciousness, whatever you want to call it, the infinite. And accompanying someone on that journey of awakening, of becoming aware, of understanding, of seeing oneself, to me, it's the most beautiful thing in the world. That's why I'm doing it. And I think that's what a coach really does. And he does it on the level of experience and perception and reality that is perceived as a person, and that's the frequency on which we modulate to call out the physicians out there. That's just the level we use, the canvas we use to become aware of ourselves.
Right. It's, and I really appreciate this, because I understand sometimes things that make sense to me are like so far beyond. One, they don't make sense to me, but they make enough sense to me. So I feel like I have language for, which I'm still trying to get language for. So the fact that I am saying it in public and on an air is funny, but it's great. And I really think that is what Disconnect to Connect is all about, to really be willing to say, hey, these are the words that I'm using. This is how I think about this. Let me disconnect from that. Let's set that aside and it's like connect to, what am I really doing here? What am I really saying? What do I really want out of this conversation, this relationship, this work that I'm doing? And then connect to the essence of it. And I think that's how we can step into the new. We can step into and be in the process of, there's a conversation that I had about will, the word, right? And the name, it was kind of funny, but there is that um, messy first draft or playing through the suck. I think that came up in the conversation, is that we're starting something new and it like sucks, right? You hate it. It doesn't make sense. It's just like me. Sometimes when I open my mouth, it's like, what the heck did I just say? Right. And it's like, it may take a couple times. It may take, a good friend to translate, right? It's like, oh, okay, this is what you meant. Yes, that's exactly what I meant. And it can kind of go from there. Or it may take a couple times of listening and writing down and kind of doing that. And like I said, playing through the suck and just kind of getting that. And I think too often for me, to go back to what I said before, I wouldn't embrace the new because of that beginning, rough, sucky part, confusion, uncertainty, that area of new that is like, I can see beyond this part, but I have no idea how the hell to get there, right? So so I'm going to stop doing this, right? And then I'll try something else. But then that same uncertainty, confusion, and all other kind of stuff that's a part of it shows up again. And I have to be brave, right? I have to show up as brave to go through that, to kind of cause something new to show up for me.
Yeah. I think, good that you're saying that. I think it's a good idea to start small in a way. I experienced that a lot of things that I advocate and that I teach in my teachings and that we talk about in our coachings and so on. So no matter what it is, it's meditation is new for a lot of people still. A vegan lifestyle, a conscious business, doing, leading differently, treating your friends or your partner differently, whatever it is. It's all new to those people. And I experienced that the fear of uncertainty is less. It's less and it's way smaller when we start small. When we say, okay, just try to do 1 minute of meditation every day. So 1 minute is everybody can do that. It's just sitting, breathing, and doing nothing, right? So the whole lockdown was a great chance, by the way. Okay.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. And then it's easier to go through that phase of, okay, it sucks because, I don't know, I have to think about it and I miss my burger or whatever, and now it's a vegan burger that tastes better anyway. Okay, I can go through that anyhow. So it's just start small and do it. I don't know, have a vegan day a month or so, or go and work out like once a week for 10 minutes or daily just for 5 minutes, or just put on your running shoes and take them off again. So eventually you will say, okay, let's go through this,
It's, I'm 100. It's like yes and to what you're saying. However, when it comes to this show, I did the total opposite than that, right? I went from saying, I went from saying that, hey, I am going to do this show Tuesdays and Thursdays to I'm going to do this show 7 days a week, right? And it was just like, what was I thinking? But there was a moment within our conversation the first day that I was like, yeah, I really enjoy this and I want to be committed to this. I am committed to this. And so I am going to commit to be in these conversations every day. Now, I guess the smallness of it, because there's some smallness in there, there was a lot of things that I had to let go. I had to just kind of just show up how I was and not trying to be, the star podcaster or Facebook host or something like that. It's just like, okay, this is what you get. And I'm just gonna, just kind of do that. But there was this big commitment in that. And I minimized the commitment by saying that, look, before I started this show, I was wasting 90 minutes a day, doing nothing, right? So it's like, I'm just, this show is now cutting into my goofing off time, right? So I would say things to, that was the language that I was using, and I was saying, and it caused me to kind of just really say that, hey, look, I'm putting 90 minutes a day into this, and this is important, and we'll just see what happens. And the more that I think went big, but really stayed small and just kind of, hey, this is all that I have right now. I was able to, I'm able to be here at, that at 100 episodes. But it was just really interesting that at the time, me going the 7 days a week didn't feel like going too big, that it was like a heavy lift. It was, hey, I'm serious about this.
Right.
And so we have to, I think what I'm getting from what you said, and because I think it's, I 100% believe it and adopt this small, start small mentality, is that you have to decide what small is, right? If you can't let someone else say, this is small, this is what small means, you have to decide what small means and do that and go from there. And if I think, because if I were to talk to, one of my many coaches friends and says, hey, I'm thinking about doing 7 days a week show, I'm sure a lot of them will lovingly say, yeah, I don't think you should start off there. Right. But I just did it because I created it.
Yeah. And we are all grateful you did. When you just began replying to my idea of start small, I was thinking about, it's two strategies and they are both right and you can choose both. But you combine it so beautifully to say there's a big thing and the small thing in everything you do. It depends on what it is for you, and you can even be fully committed and engaged, and that's the important part. And then choose the expression in a way that it can be at the same time fully committed and engaged, but also small and doable, and being able to go through it consistently.
Right. Yeah, because there's because back in the day, when I would try something, I wouldn't have went 90 minutes. My small wouldn't have been 90 minutes. It would have been, hey, I'm doing this show and I'm like, I'm all in, and I'm going to put I'm going to throw as many hours into this thing so it can get monetized. I can get sponsors. I can get, I'm going to get all, it would have been like overwhelming. And for me, that's not starting small, right? And I have really lost a lot of money and time and effort and really kind of sabotage, my dreams, right? Because of that mentality of all in. But even though I am all in, I've decided what all in, like you said, the commitment, right? All in before was like, as Tony Robbins, would say, burn the bridges, right? You have no other choice. This is what you're doing. And that never felt right to me. It was like, no, there's always other things that you can, right? I'm not burning any damn boats or bridges and all that kind. I'm not doing that. And then I felt like I was.
You did it in one way. I mean, it depends on how you put it, but you did it in one way by showing yourself and saying, "Oh, by the way, I'm doing this daily now." This is in a way burning the bridges as well. It's not quitting your old job to do a new one, etc. But it's about, okay, there's not really a way to And that's a point of no return in a way. If you schedule
Right.
your life and say, I will be on tomorrow at 4 p.m. or whatever, and everybody sees that, and some are clicking interested and waiting for you to be online, then it's a little bit
Right.
burning bridges. It's
Right.
great commitment to anybody else.
Right.
Yeah. But I know what
So
you mean.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. It's something. No, I get that. That, you know, there was aspects as I get it. So it's, again, the disconnect to connect, being open to, all right, what is my understanding of burning bridges and burning boats? Right. It's like, okay, it means, for me, burn means burn,
Yeah, no way.
period. You know,
Originally,
destruction, right?
that what it means. Yeah, what it means. Yeah.
Right. You know, it's like, okay, what else can it mean, right? How else can that show up, right? You know, and to have those conversations, and then I can embrace the new. Then I can embrace the suckiness, because I can have this remorse after I burn everything up, right? It's like everything's burnt up right now, right? It's like, so all right, now we're dealing with this. And I can tell you the one reason why I didn't embrace new in my life many times is because I was mourning or pissed off because something ended, you know. And it was like, and so I couldn't really, and I think it was interesting that this year, that the first book that I read was Transitions, that it had the ending. There's like 3 sections of it, right? It's like the ending, the neutral, and the new beginning, right? And so too often it's said in the book, or what I got from it, is that something would end and we would try to skip the neutral, right? And try something new. But the neutral is a place where there's mourning, there's reflection, there is, there is kind of really letting go what ended, kind of processing what ended. And in that processing of what ended, then new will emerge, right? It's not something that we have to create something new. We have to manufacture something. It is, oh, okay. And I just got this image of, being on the beach after burning my bridges. Bridges are boats. It's boats.
Whatever.
After burning my boats, I look over and see, coconuts, or, I see something new. I kind of like deal with the fact that, yeah, I just did that. And then once you look around, you see what's possible, what's new. And I think the more that we're able to take that time, sometimes that neutral time, and I can tell you, I've prolonged those neutral times for myself because I didn't sit long enough. Because I tried, because I really was pissed off. When you lose, $500,000 in poor business decisions, it's like, damn, right? That's smarts, right? Right, 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 and it's like, do I have the strength, the desire to embrace what's new, what's possible, after that? Or am I going to let that go? Am I going to allow that, the lessons to be learned, and the grieving to happen, to have me step into something new? And it took as long as it took. I believe that it took as long as it took. But sometimes it felt like it took entirely too long, because because I considered myself in the past this, quick learner. I would get something and it's like, oh yeah, okay, got it, let's go on it. But when when I said that thing happened, that large thing happened, it was like, holy crap, right? It like I 10x that, thing. It's like, okay,
Mm.
maybe I don't know,
Right.
maybe I'm not a quick learner, all that other kind of stuff. And then
Maybe
I
you need time.
question myself.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why I think it brought me to this self-discovery, the spiritual discovery, and everything like that. I realized that we could talk about this for hours. I'm like
Totally.
bad host, right? Looking at
No worries,
that.
no worries. I had a look at the watch as well, and it's like, no, let him go.
It's
People
like,
out there
hey,
listening, they,
this is show 100, right? We'll just
right.
kind of go, right?
It's 100
Right.
minutes, isn't
So,
it? Yeah.
right.
Now, just to wrap it
So,
up, what you said, I just want to, if it's okay, if we have the minute,
yes.
It's so important what you just said, because I see that with my clients as well. And no matter if it's relationships, if it's a job, a situation, if it's a career, we tend to go from, okay, this just died, we have to have something new in a minute. And I think it's so important to sit in stillness, meditate, whatever you want to call it, be with yourself, be calm, be still, become aware of where you are at, because we're always attached somehow to all these things, to identify with our jobs and our relationships and with our possessions we lose and so on.
Right.
So to detach again, to let go, to become aware of who or what you really are, and allow new things, as you said, to evolve from that. I think that's a beautiful thing. And and I think when we talk about new, I think what's also very important, people think of new things very often as of big things.
Right.
New doesn't mean big all the time. Find the new tiny part, as if William is looking out his window and seeing the tiny new things out there. It's the same every day, more or less, but there are new things, as you mentioned.
Right.
And see and try to do things maybe just in a new way. Yeah.
Right. Wow. I really appreciate. Like I said, I want to give you credit and blame for starting all of this.
On you.
I really appreciate your friendship and our connection, and you, because you are in my life, I am more conscious of my life. And I just really, appreciate on a level that I'm losing words right now, because I use a lot of them already, but they're not coming up. But thank you very much for celebrating with me on show number 100. I'm sure that we will connect again, and you'll appear on however one word conversation's gonna show up from here. But we're starting our next 100,
Right.
Starting tomorrow. But it was great.
Great. Thank you. It was a great honor for me, and really love that. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll say our goodbyes in the green room as I wrap up the show. But great. Oh boy, I really lost track of time. I was like, I'm acting as if there's nothing else that I have to do today, right? Right, but what's new for you? What's showing up as new? What are you embracing as new in your life? I would love to hear in the comments of what that is and how it occurs. It is my desire, not for just this episode, but all the episodes that I have, all 100 of them. And even I noticed that there's probably 110 or 15 with all the bonus episodes that I did. But that it's adds value to you. It's not just a conversation. It's a way of looking at our lives, our communication, our relationships, and ourselves. And I hope within these 100 episodes, you have learned something about yourself, learned something how you communicate with each other, how one word can cause a connection or a disconnection, and being willing to talk about that word. I really, really am grateful for you, and there's going to be a lot of changes coming up soon. I will be announcing those soon, but I think you're going to enjoy them. I'm excited about them, and I can't wait to share what they are. You can contact me at iamwilliambrown.com and get some items, or have a conversation with me in an introductory coaching session, and just sign up, and we'll see how we can help you be yourself and live your life. Because the world wants you, the world needs you, and the world is waiting for you. So go be you.